Hi, everybody. This is Getting Familiar, and I am Lady Stars and Fire. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you are having a glorious evening. And if you're sticking around to check us out, thank you. I hope that you enjoy the show. I call this show Getting Familiar because we are dealing with all things spiritual, animal related, dealing with spirit guides. Well, what are they teaching us? Are we able to tell when they are teaching us something? When they are in our life? When they're bringing us information? Do we even notice? Power animals and totems, and of course, familiars. Along with, I just want to discuss other information that I think is good to know when we're remembering to deal with spirit and animal. Now, today I want to discuss something that I find kind of interesting. Life, wildlife, and what was at one time considered more like one. They weren't always considered so separate. See, in today's modern civilizations, it appears that we have transcended humanity's reliance upon animals. We don't really rely on animals, other than for food. Some people use them for their furs or their skins. But we don't really rely on animals anymore. We don't really learn from them. They're not really part of our life. This is why it's our life. And then wildlife is considered separate. It's not really one anymore. But we haven't totally isolated ourselves from the earth itself or from the realm of animals or learning from those animals. Typically, yes, it is going to be in the way of spiritual energy and, typically loving of Mother Earth, but we still are connected to that animal realm. It's just not as tightly woven as it used to be, as wildlife used to be part of our daily life. Our civilization itself is not so far removed from animal life. Let's think about this. Merely a century ago, people who were living in what was considered the largest cities, they still allowed for pigs to run freely and roam through their trash, through their garbage. Transportation was horse-drawn. We either rode horses all the time, or we were in wagons and pulled by the horses. But the horses were still part of our everyday life. It was not completely unusual for a wolf, a fox, a deer to be found wandering in our neighborhoods. Yeah, today, depending on where you live, you may still find deer wandering in your neighborhoods. But really, it's not like you have animals that are wildlife outside of what a lot of people may call rodents, like raccoons and stuff, scavengers that would come in and get closer to us because they are looking for food from the trash cans, such as the pigs were known to back in the day. It wasn't so long ago that we were able to buy chickens, live chickens, in a market so that we could have them. But today, typically, the only way we're getting closer to that nature, that wildlife meeting our life, is if we have families who either live way, way far out in the woods, far away from everything, or if they have farms and we kind of go to visit them. But unless we've gone to visit them, it's not really part of something we see every day. We don't live in areas where we see these things happening all the time for us. So that's why it feels like it's separated. Now, obviously, with that separation, we've lost that connection with the animals to learn from them, as well as just spirit coming through them in our lives and teaching us, whether it's actual spirit guides or it's because they're not in our life. The point is things have changed and we've lost a lot of that, but not entirely. See, animals still are part of your children's ideas, their dreams, their thoughts, their cartoons. They are still part of a child's life so deeply. And right there from the beginning, Spirit still is finding a way to communicate with the children, but we often overlook that. We don't notice it. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is because in very many cultures throughout the whole world, not just Native American, but native in general, the guardian spirit, which is usually seen as your power animal, is very important. It is seen as a need, as a must in many of these cultures. And it's seen and even feared to not have for your children right from the time your children were born. Because many of these different cultures have used the idea of that guardian spirit, that power animal, that they believe children are not going to live through adolescence. They are not going to make it to 6, 7, 8, 9, the age of teens, without having that power animal in their life. Many cultures fear that. And right from the beginning, they would start seeking that their children were able to get those power animals. Many different ways in many different cultures for making sure that that connection was made, because it has always been viewed that that power animal, that guardian, is needed for survival, period. Now, obviously, I mean, in all of these different cultures, they've had different ways since children were born of how they went about trying to verify that their children had either made that connection and found their spirit guide, their power animals, their guardian, that protector. There's been many different ways through many different cultures. And obviously, in some of those cultures, it wasn't entirely known that it was a fact that it was found, but it was considered to be something to fear that if your child did not have. The thing is, it is possible to have had past protection from a power guardian and to not have been conscious of it. It is entirely possible, even here in today's world. See, it hasn't changed so much. Just our way of connecting is being rewoven into our lives in different ways because civilization has changed. But it also is just as important to not become dispirited. But before I go into being dispirited, let's back up for a second. We think of children as having their imaginary friend as something fun that they just make up. Well, let's just stop for a second. What if that imaginary friend isn't imaginary at all? It's just their children and they're innocent. And because of their innocence, they actually are connecting with that guardian spirit, whether it be an animal or not. Because sometimes children have great imaginations. You don't really know. See, and in some cultures, the guardian spirit would originally show up as human and then slowly start to take an animal form so that the child could get comfortable with it. Now, you see, I bring that up because it's important for you to realize it's throughout the world, many different cultures for that guardian spirit. And it's possible to have had that guardian spirit with you, protecting you, without ever having any conscious awareness of it. See, a lot of times people, when they first start to come into their power animals, their guardian spirit, their totem, so to speak, they will have either gone through shamanic journeys to find what their power animal is, vision quests, meditations, or even found them in dreams. But see, that's not necessarily how you're going to find your animal. And what I mean is not that you won't find your animal that way, but what I'm saying is it is possible that a guide, which is there to teach you, may show up for you and not be actually telling you who your power animal is. Sometimes you have to actually ask them these things. And you can ask them in dreams. You can ask them in meditation. You can ask them in shamanic journeys. Are you a teacher? Are you a guide? Are you my power animal? Because you do need validation as to which ones are which sometimes. And one reason I say this is for me, myself, I thought that my power animal was a specific animal for a very long time. But it is actually a guide that shows up when I have lessons to learn. And I found out my power animal was a different animal. I found out through shamanic journeys. But I'm bringing this to your attention. It is completely possible to have a specific power animal that's been with you from the beginning and for you to have been completely unconscious to it. See, and that is what I was trying to get out. I wanted you to be aware that it is possible that that animal can still be with you, even if you have not met it yet. For whatever reason, it is still with you. And it is typically seen as, you need to honor those animals that are in your life so that when you do know of them as being spirit animals, by honoring them, then it will give them the love that they need in this world to live somewhat through you so that they will continue to come back and be part of your life. But when they are dishonored, not known, never noticed, forgotten, then you can become dispirited and you can actually lose a power animal. This is what those other native cultures feared. This is why they wanted their children from the beginning to come to find out exactly who and what their guardian spirit was, what that power was, how it protected them, how it would guard them through their life for survival needs, so that they would not become dispirited and they would not lose those animals. So, see, when we go back for just a moment and we think about our children and their imaginary friends, cut them some slack. They might actually be dealing with their power animal. This is all part of that, the way the children play. How they kind of like lift their arms up and they pretend they're flying. Or they run and jump. Or they do the, look at me, I'm a cat. Or, just some of the weird little wonderful things that we take for granted that are so amazing to them. Because how do you know why your child's arms are spread out and they're just running around in circles and they're telling you they're flying? Maybe, just maybe, they got a dragon or a crow or some other bird, a bat, and maybe that power animal is getting just a second to breathe and to remember what it's like to live. And your child's allowing that to happen. And that is connection with spirit. Spirit is power animals. Spirit is animals. And that's why it's so important for us. We can understand animals. We have trouble understanding other spiritual nature of spirit that we've never met, that we don't see. But we can study animals. They've been here as long as we have. Okay, right before we go into taking our break, I'm going to go over again what some of these situations are with spirit and animals. And then we'll come back and discuss an animal. But again, your spirit animal, your spirit guide, it presents life's lessons. It shows us through its own unique nature and skills, as well as survival instincts, how to deal with and manifest our own journey in life. So it's teaching us the rights and wrongs, a different way of viewing things, helping us to maybe guide ourselves through our own life in a more positive way to actually create what it is we want. It is a lesson. It's a teacher that comes and goes. And they may change depending according to the animal that is needed in your life at that time. Because not all animals have all the same lessons. This is why we acquire so many different guides over our lifetime. And they change according to what it is we need. We do not choose any animals of spirit that come into our life. They choose us. And they choose us because of what is needed at this time in our life. Now, our power animal, or our totem, our guardian, are pretty much all considered the same. And this is an animal that we call upon or invoke individually or as a group for its special power, its special survival skills, for it brings this to us. It serves us as a guardian, as a protector when we are facing adversity in our life. This is what I've been discussing today. Your power animal is what brings you the survival you need to get through. Now, these animals can come to us in many, many different forms. It can be through meditation, through dreams, through shamanic journeys, but it can also be in our day-to-day daily life. And this is why I was bringing up how civilization has changed. It is now life for us versus wildlife. But it doesn't have to always be so. Animals can come into our life even without being in the wildlife. Now, sure, you are going to have some animals that can only come through in different ways. And I'm going to break that down just in case this is the first time you've caught the show. What I'm trying to say is, if you have a pet is part of your everyday life. So spirit is never going to use that animal to come and communicate with you for a spirit guide or a power animal, because it's part of your everyday life. It is going to come in ways of the odd, the unusual. Those animals that you come across that really made you notice it because typically that's not there. Meaning, when a skunk appears in your life out of nowhere, it's not something you see every day. But if a skunk is somewhere in your life and you've seen it, there's most likely a reason. And if you be responsible to your own spirit and spiritual connection, and you Google that information as to what skunk might have to tell you, you can usually connect the dots and see what its message is. It does not have to come only in spirit, through meditation, through shamanic journeys, through dreams. it can come in real life. But then again, sometimes we live in areas where we're not going to see the animal in an actual living form, so to speak. Like I was saying before, they have their own way. Spirit is amazing. Spirit can go out of its way to try to get your attention, to try to give you information and guidance. But once that connection's been made, it's up to you to look into what that information is. Say you live in the city, and what they want to give you is a panda bear. Well, you're not going to come across a panda in the city, are you? You're not going to be coming across a panda bear unless you're most likely at a zoo. But if panda showed up on, say you went to go buy some food and you happen to go to Panda Express, and then you turn around and you're talking to somebody else and they're telling you how they went on vacation and saw pandas, and then a cartoon came on with pandas on it, and maybe you got something in the mail that also had pandas on it. That's 4 different times the panda bear has visited you. It's just not visited you in actual, real, human living life. It could be in many different forms, but if it keeps coming back and repeatedly showing you, hey, look at me, I want some information, I'm trying to get you to notice me, then it's trying to teach you something. And whether it was in real life or not, it's still spiritual medicine coming to you in animal form. Okay, everybody, we've got to take that moment and let our sponsors do their thing, and we'll be right back.
Is your ritual cloak ready for the rag bin? Are your guest towels sad and worn? Is your tote bag begging to retire? Then you need Twitch's Stitches. Twitch's Stitches is a custom embroidery shop with a pagan flair. From the classics and everyday designs to ornate ritual style, fantasy, furries, mythical, and so much more. They do t-shirts, ritual capes and cloaks, sweats, towels, blankets, hoodies, totes, and more. You name it, Twitch's Stitches can embroider it. And they love custom orders, so if you don't find what you're looking for, they're only a phone call or a message away. So if you want quality items lovingly crafted and embroidered, you have to check them out on Facebook. And that's www.facebook.com/Twitches Stitches. That's TWITCHES STITCHES. However, we can't be held responsible when your friends and family try to swipe them, so tell them to get their own. Twitches Stitches, for the love of design. I'm going to share with you a company founded on passion. A passion dreamed into existence by 2 lightworkers to share the gift of holistic healing with the world. Acting on the belief that infusing ritualistic components like the use of crystals and moon cycles, Reiki and more, enhances the quality and energetic profile of their alchemic creations and their spiritual workings. A passion for the rare and unique that touches all they create and do. What is this wonder-filled place, you ask? It's the Altruistic Apothecary, a place of magical items, like rune sets, god and goddess statues, amulets and talismans, incense, balms, bath salts, and more. A place of spiritual guidance and healing from an intuitive medicine woman, holistic health practitioner, and Reiki master, offering spiritual medium readings, rune readings, healing sessions, and more. It's there. They're ready. The door is open. All you have to do is ask, and they will share with you all the secrets they possess to help you on your path. Find them on Facebook or on their website, www.altruisticapothecary.com, ALTRUISTICAPOTHECARY.com. Wonder awaits you.
Okay, everybody, we are back. And this is Getting Familiar if you're just tuning in. And I am Lady Stars and Fire. On this show, we discuss all things spiritual, animal related. Now, I was getting ready to start talking about an animal, but this is more of an insect that I want to talk about today. And this is not an animal or an insect that typically you think of ever as being spiritual guidance. And the reason why is it's often seen as a pest. It's often seen as annoying. I am talking about the fruit fly, the gnat, whichever one you want to call it. The reason I'm bringing it up is I like to go after the animals that aren't as well known. I mean, anybody who knows anything about spiritual animals, spirit guides, power animals, they've all heard of the big ones. Your wolf, the eagle, the bear, the dragon. But they forget about so many other ones. And sometimes the smaller the little being that it is, the bigger the medicine that is there. This is why I'm choosing the fruit fly, the gnat. It is often seen as a pest. It is often seen as annoying. It's typically only found around trash or even dead stuff, something that is dying or decaying. The stinking and nasty things is where you normally notice the fruit fly. But, see, this little itty bitty being, in symbolism, this insect holds many large meanings of characteristics of survival and transformation. Some of the traits of the fruit fly, the gnat, are color attraction, rebirth, perseverance, transformation, seeing things through different eyes, in different ways, survival, auras, mobility and flight, as well as humbleness or humbling. The fruit fly symbolizes an ability to survive the harshest, the hardest environments, while they are teaching us perseverance, being able to make us use what we may seem to see as invaluable. We may be seeing this as trash, but they teach us how to utilize these things. And most anything that the fruit fly comes across or feeds on, even scraps, it utilizes. It finds a way to survive. It will not die. It will go on and it will live right through everything that is decaying around it. It shows us perseverance. This little bugger, it does not die. It just seems to exist in the most oddest, impossible places. This is how it's teaching us. Never, never, never give up. We can utilize anything and make it so if we want it bad enough. We will find a way to survive. That is part of its medicine. Did you know that the fruit fly, the gnat, in the animal kingdom has one of the most numerous of eyes? These eyes are suited to see and sense more than what the ordinary is possible to see. So they're teaching us to see differently and to see the entirety of the situation. This is also how they bring apart auras and color. This is the entirety of the situation at hand, whatever that situation may be. On another note, one day I happened to have like 3 flies around me, regular flies, not fruit flies. I was at work and I was inside in a building, and these flies just kept flying around me. And I spent a good hour and a half trying to keep an eye on the fly. Now, the lesson in that was it taught me to notice many things in my surroundings at all times, to be able to observe from many different directions. This is somewhat what that fruit fly is also teaching us. It is teaching us to see past the ordinary, to see what is typically not possible to see the spirit of the situation, as well as the truths within it. It is a gift. It comes to us with this message, with these learnings. This is how the aura becomes possible. This is part of what it's teaching us. Different psychic abilities can become possible when fruit fly is visiting you, because it's teaching you to see different ways, different aspects, different views. It's teaching you to see with your third eye, darling. Now, on a different note, the fruit fly, again, the gnat. Did you know in Greek mythology, the fruit fly was said to have been sent to bite anyone who may have been riding Pegasus, the winged horse? It was sent, according to Greek mythology, to bite that rider so that that rider was unable to make it to Mount Olympus unless it was deemed that that rider was meant to get to Mount Olympus. Also, that the fruit fly has been seen or heralded of celestial forces when it comes to teaching man how to be humble as well as punishment. You see, the fruit fly has an association with pestilence and decay, but it is also considered to be seen as a teacher and a hunter, giving us important messages. This is exactly why it is seen as celestial forces that are teaching us, mankind, about being humble or giving us our punishments. As during biblical times, it is associated, or it was associated, with pestilence and decay, and it was represented, supposedly, in the 4 plagues of Egypt. Native American cultures also associate the fruit fly, the gnat, with being a mentor figure and bringing us messages that we need to receive. See, I find the fact that they are associated with pestilence, decay, transformation, and rebirth very interesting. Like I said, supposedly they are to teach us humbleness or to give us our punishments. This comes actually in more forms than we realize that the fruit fly shows us. They teach us through the fact of their survival, through the decaying, the breaking down of the complex compounds and organisms. Somehow, with everything going on with that, the decaying, the dying that is happening, they still find a way to feed on it and survive. They still show perseverance. This is perfect for understanding transformation. Sometimes death has to happen for birth to start. Sometimes that darkness part has to be done. You have to go through that decaying area before rebirth and the light can be found. See, before I ever came to realize what the fruit fly, the gnat, was, I always associated it with death. Just the death of something, the death of somebody who is living, the death of a situation, the death of just trash and things that were decaying and going bad. And I left it at that in my mind because just like they are known for, they are known for being pests. They are known for being annoying. They are known for being in the way. I worked at a bar for a long time, and you kind of would always end up finding fruit flies near the bar at the end of the night, basically. You would kind of find fruit flies after all of the liquor that had been spilled, and it would be annoying. You would always come across them, and it would irritate the crap out of me. I'm not going to lie. You're like, why are these things here? But in my life at that time, it was also, now that I look back, showing me at things that needed to die because I needed them to change for rebirth to happen. See, it comes in many different ways, and sometimes we're really not ready to hear it. And this is why I said last week that sometimes we have shadow animals. Shadow animals is an animal that typically is a spirit guide that isn't getting hurt and it's going to keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back because it's trying to get its message to you and you are not trying to hear it. You're not getting it. You're not understanding it for whatever reason. And this is why it returns. See, I have a connection with fruit fly because they have taught me many things. But at first I just thought it was an annoying bugger that I wanted to be gone. But once I started to realize what animal medicine was, and I started looking into it, I realized, no, I'm not wishing to have fruit flies around me or gnats around me, but I do know when they show up, there is a message there. And typically through the decaying and the pestilence in a situation, basically, you are going to find it is trying to teach you the death of that, the transformation out of it, and how to rebirth through it. Now, that's not always the situation. Like I said, they have very many eyes. They teach us to see many different ways. They teach us to view different subjects from different angles. They teach us to see the truth of the situation and its entirety. They bring to us growth in such ways, as well as psychic nature. They're bringing that awareness to us. They're bringing that growth to us. Being able to use our third eye, our extra eye, to see the truth in its entirety, bringing out auras and other psychic activities, as well as in some amazing way as it's going through all of this, what appears to be negative, decaying, death kind of energy, trash, stinking things that the fruit fly is able to bring us. It's teaching us that growth, but more importantly, it's also teaching us how to be humble in that growth and with our surroundings as well as ourselves. Okay, so if fruit fly shows up in your life, this is some of the questions that it might be bringing to you, or the answers it might be bringing to you. When it shows up, it may be bringing you the information of you need to show strength despite of your inabilities. So even if you don't think you are capable of what it is that's going on in your life, it's telling you, have strength, believe in yourself, show this to yourself. Don't let yourself down. Don't fall negative and let it die around you for what it is you are trying to create. It is time to believe that you have the ability, even if you may not think you are able. It's time to have strength despite your inabilities. Or the fruit fly may be telling you that you are in need of sending a message to someone, but you're not exactly sure how about going about doing it. And it's telling you how to think, how to use its eyes to see through the situation to its entirety so that you can relay the message that needs to be relayed. It may also be showing you that you are in need of the ability of sensing a hateful behavior of someone else and seeing it for the truth that it really is. As well as it most likely might be telling you simply, you are seeking change and it is time to put forth the effort into that change. And lastly, it may be telling you that you need to show humbleness in the face of victory. Sometimes being smug is not the right way to be. You need to be able to be victorious. Yes, but we also need to know when we need to be humble about it. Because we got to remember the fruit fly, the gnat, is associated with teaching us how to be humble as well as delivering us our punishments. Okay, everybody, it's time for another break. So I'm going to let the sponsors do their thing, and we'll be right back and we'll discuss another animal.
Looking for authentic pagan wares? Check out Onyx Moon Emporium. They offer an eclectic mix of metaphysical and spiritual related items, handcrafted using old and new recipes and traditions. Everything is created in small batches by authentic and experienced practitioners. Their promise to customers is authenticity. From witchy items, conjure goods, setting of lights, a wide selection of magical and conditioning oils, to handcrafted wooden grimoires and journals. Made-to-order magical candles in all shapes, sizes, and intents. Angel kits, gris-gris, herbs and curios, from nice to naughty and everything in between. Many items are custom-made, so they are uniquely yours. Special orders are always welcome, and if you have an idea for something that you're not finding, they are happy to work with you. Need an oil not listed? Or a spell you can't find? Looking for that hard-to-find herb or curio? They probably have it or can make it. Visit them at onyxmoonemporium.com or find them on Facebook. Onyx Moon Emporium, from angels to Zen, and everything for your magical life. Since 2014, the Pagan Business Network has been building resources by bringing together pagan-owned and pagan-friendly businesses. With multiple resources available, it doesn't matter if you're an artisan, musician, vendor, author, publishing company, blogger, podcaster, event planner, or any other organization. We have the resources here to help you succeed. Becoming a member is easy and affordable, even for the smallest of budgets. With your membership, you will get Business Spotlight, which is an article written in an interview style, complete with details and photos. Social media sharing through the Pagan Business Network, a blog roll, a membership card for discounts at participating businesses. You'll also get discounts on tickets to all Pagan Business Network events and so much more. You can check us out at paganbusinessnetwork.com for more information.
Okay, everybody, we are back. This is Getting Familiar, and I am Lady Stars and Fire. And again, thank you for sticking around and listening to our sponsors. I have a feeling, for some reason, I'm being told that I need to talk about the crab. The crab, it's the spider of the sea. The sea is so mysterious to us. There's so much about the sea that we don't understand. But we do have a little bit of understanding about the spider. Now, we're actually discussing the crab, which is the spider of the sea. and it rides the waves, and it comes to shore in a full suit of armor, kind of like a knight in shining armor. It seems to know what and where it's supposed to go and what it's supposed to do when it gets there. It's ready for battle, it's ready for action, it's suited up, and it seems to just know how to take care of itself and what it is it's supposed to do. Just like how we think of a knight in shining armor. It's confident. It knows it's protected. It's prepared. It's ready. It's aware. It's already comfortable in what it is doing, and it knows what it's supposed to do. The crab comes out of the sea, floating upon the waters and hitting the shores, just like the knight in shining armor. It comes out already suited up and ready for business. Some of the crab's symbolisms or traits that we find with the crab is self-protection, security, boundaries, vulnerability, timing, emotional body, sensitivity, and being sensitive to self-protection, as well as it is a zodiac symbol for Cancer. The crab reminds us to honor ourselves and to find balance in both its self-protection and its own personal vulnerabilities, as the crab is suited to the needs and the emotions. Meaning, let's look at it from the knight in shining armor attitude. The knight in shining armor is just a man. The armor is what's over the man. The armor is what is protecting the man. The man inside is just a typical man. The same thing goes for the crab. Its outer shell, its shield, is what is protecting it. But inside, it is actually quite delicate. It's vulnerable. And it has insecurities. That's pretty much just like us. We don't view the knight in shining armor as being insecure because of its armor. We think of it as confident and strong and protective. But like the crab, when we see it from this point of view, the two are one. The crab is protected. It is strong. It is confident. But it is confident because of its armor around it, which is its shield. Inside, again, it has insecurities. It has its own vulnerability. It's delicate, just like we are. We are emotional beings. We may look on the outside like we got it all together. We may not show our emotions. We may hold them in. We may appear to be strong, even though sometimes on the inside we are vulnerable. We're falling apart. We're upset. We need help. We just need support. But on the outside, our skin itself is our own armor. It is what, in truth, shields us from everybody else seeing our truth. We can smile, but we can still want to cry inside because we're trying to put on that strong face. And sometimes the truth is, our own insecurities, we're not ready to admit to ourselves. So, in truth, as much as we hate to admit it, we lie to ourselves about these insecurities. And that is our emotions. We bury them and we hide them. But, like the crab, we're just as sensitive on the inside as we are on the outside. We choose to allow our armor to show or not to show, to be part of our life. But what the crab itself is teaching us is that we have permission to protect ourselves. We have permission to protect ourselves. We have every right, and it is our righteous right to protect ourselves, to stand our ground, and to not back down, to take care of us first. That is the knight in shining armor coming through of the crab in a way that we can understand the two become one. Deep within us, we are sensitive. Like I said, we are sensitive beings. We're really not that far off from the crab. We have insecurities. We want to protect ourselves, but we also need to realize we have every right to protect ourselves. Just because we're emotional doesn't make a difference. Depending on how we act on our emotions is what makes the difference. But we have every right to be safe, to find security within our own selves. That comes from what the crab is teaching us. The crab reminds us to take care of ourselves first. Learn to say no. It is completely okay to say no to something that is emotionally going to hurt you and that you need to be protected from. If it is going to bring you harm in any way, shape, or form in your life, imbalance emotionally, mentally, physically, then it is okay to say no. While it is good to do things for others, sometimes we need to learn no. We can actually say no. And you know what? We don't have to apologize for it or make up excuses for it. This is part of that armor. It is teaching us how and when to be vulnerable as well as when to be protective. That is our shield. It is not just our skin, our body, but it is us. The two are one, just like the knight in shining armor. The outside looks confident and ready and prepared to fight and battle. The inside is sensitive, just as the crab is. So are we. They are one, and we need to remember that in order to take care of one, you must take care of the other. They come together. It is completely possible for you to say no and to not feel bad about it. If it is something you don't want to do, then don't do it, honey. Don't let others force you into situations that you don't want to be part of. Simple as that. I know we tend to want to help others, but part of it is we need to learn to say no, and we don't have to make excuses for it. We don't have to make apologies for it, and this is part of our armor. We are allowed to. We have a righteous ability and given right to make that decision and say no when we need to protect ourselves. This is learning and having the ability and believing in ourselves to set boundaries. If you don't set boundaries, you will, plain and simple, you will be taken advantage of. You will, plain and simple, be pushed around. You have got to set boundaries for what is and what is not acceptable in your life. This is part of what Crab is teaching us. When we learn how and when to set these boundaries, we also learn to find security within ourselves. Another way of looking at it is really simple. When you are at home, you feel comfortable, you feel safe, you're at home. Same with possibly in a car. Because in a car, you're in a shield that's protecting you from the outside world. It's the same thing in your home. Now, our homes, they come in many shapes and sizes. Some people have big homes and houses. Some people live in an apartment in a great big building. Some have condos. There are so many different ways of looking at what is your home. But the point is, your home is where you go to let go. It is your sanctuary. It is where you're safe. It is your security. This is what the crab is teaching you. Don't look at just your home or a car as your sanctuary, your safe place, your protected area. Create that within your own soul. Your skin, from the moment it enters your skin and is moving outwardly, all that was underneath of your skin is your own security, is your home. That is where the boundaries start, when it actually enters you and touches your skin. This is the sensitivities the crab is teaching us. It is teaching us to know exactly when and where to show that we need protection, as well as when and where to know when to retreat. It's that simple. You, my love, you are your own knight in shining armor. You carry crab energy in you because you and you alone can protect you. You and you alone are your own security. You and you alone are what sets those boundaries. Therefore, you are taking care of you. You have the ability and the right to do exactly that, to take care of you, and to know when to say no. The crab reminds us the only thing that we let into our physical being, into our actual body, emotionally, mentally, that we have allowed to come into us is what we have allowed to come into us. This is why saying no is important, because that is the balance between protection and vulnerability. We are emotional beings. We are going to get upset. We are going to be sensitive about things, but only we have the ability, the right, the choice to choose. Are we going to allow things to push us around and make us even more emotional in a negative and harmful way? Or are we going to say no and protect ourselves? Because only we can make that choice. Nobody can make that choice for us. And nobody can make those emotions and decisions and feelings and opinions come out of us. That is part of your own individuality. It is part of you. But you have to protect you. And when you protect you, you become your own security blanket, because you now are your own shield. You now are your own knight in shining armor. You now have created your own security within yourself. Then you can take that out into your life, into everything else you do, to help you feel safe as you move through your life. Now, when we look at crab as Cancer for the zodiac, for astrology, the crab is a cardinal sign and it is water. So the cardinal sign operates in sudden bursts of energy. And naturally, the water sign within it corresponds with our emotional side and our emotional nature. It also reminds us it is the most private oriented of signs. So it's keeping its emotional self within itself. It tends to keep it hidden. It's easily sensitive, easily upset, easily disturbed, even though on the outside it might show that knight in shining armor confidence. It may not fully believe or have the confidence that it needs, but it's going to give the impression that it does. Now, in the world of the Cancer crab astrology, again, the crab possesses that need for that safe nesting, that security, that comfortableness. So in this area, the crab turns to what it is that makes it comfortable. It's nesting, like I said. It's sleep, it's food, it's place where it is going to be comfortable. It may not necessarily emotionally let out the truths of it all and emotionally come forth with their desires in such a way as far as it may show it in a different aspect. The only real problem here is because of them not being as forthcoming with the emotions when we're in crab, Cancer, zodiac sign, when we're dealing with that, is we tend to become a little bit more needy. We want to be needed. This is when Cancer becomes a little bit more dependent on others because of that need and that lack of bringing out the true focus behind the emotions. It turns into that direction. The thing is, it rules home and family. So it's not that it's not going to let its emotional side out because it's private, but it rules from the gut. And often we confuse what it is the gut is saying. Okay, everybody, I'm so glad that you stuck around and hung out with me, but we're coming to the end of the hour and the show's coming to its end. Again, this is Getting Familiar, and I am Lady Stars and Fire. I can't wait to talk with you next week. Hugs and kisses in the wind, and take care of you. Bye, everybody.